who are pushovers, and you feel sorry for them, and you think that that's not right, and you don't know how to respond to it. So what I want to leave you with are some tools that can possibly help in facing those situations. And I don't think we would have time to go through all 9 of these pillars, what I call as the pillars of compassion, but I would like to at least go through a few of them. And my hope is that when you leave this room today, you take some of that message with you and try to practice it in your life and see how that actually impacts you, just as an experiment, as an experience. So the 9 pillars of compassion that I believe are critical to develop are self-compassion, abundance, the abundance mindset, essentially, this idea of oneness, that we are all one common humanity, the feeling of empathy, which is the ability to see life from the other person's perspective and feel their pain, to be vulnerable, to be fearlessly vulnerable, and to see life from the big picture, not to get caught in the small stories of our lives, but to see life from the bigger picture and the bigger understanding of happiness, that we are all here to be happy. And being mindful on a day-to-day basis. And building compassion not as an idea that you can intellectually think about, but to build this as a compassion habit on an everyday basis. Building the habits of gratefulness, building the habits of giving. So building habits, and then finally practicing the platinum rule. And I will talk about that in a second. Everything starts with self-compassion. If you cannot be kind to yourself, you cannot be kind to anyone else. That's the truth. So you see this picture here, that's what you see. That's the oxygen mask that drops down when your air pressure goes down and you're flying. And when you remember the instructions, they would say, always make sure the mask is on yourself before helping the person next to you, even if it is a child. And here's the reason. If you do not have enough oxygen in your brain, you are not going to be able to help yourself or the person next to you. And that's how compassion is. That's how kindness is. You cannot give what you do not have. And a lot of times, if you actually keep a journal, and I'm challenging you on this, if you keep a journal where you honestly jot down what messages you send to yourself every day, the kind of insults and self-abuse that you put yourself through from morning to night, you'll be surprised. If you do that to a friend, you won't have a friend at the end of the day. And unfortunately, we think that's the norm. We think that it's okay to be self-abusive. That's not right. We have to live with ourselves with complete peace and complete happiness. Right? But that is not saying self-compassion is self-pity, which is completely different. And it is not selfishness. It's treating yourself with respect, kindness, and friendship. Imagine that you are your best friend. How will you treat yourself? To do that, it starts with knowing. Everything starts with knowing, right? What is it that makes me happy? What is it that makes me truly aligned with the purpose in my life? What is it that nourishes my mind, my body, and my soul? Know that and take definitive steps towards practicing self-compassion. The second idea is the idea of thinking abundance. A lot of times we get caught in this idea that there is only so much in this world. If we give, we are taking out of this finite bucket of skills or resources or kindness, and we think that once we give a certain amount, there is nothing more to give, there is nothing left for us. That's the idea of scarcity thinking, that everything is finite. and the idea that more will never be enough. It's a very vicious cycle, this idea of scarcity thinking. And I invite you to think about shifting that to the idea of abundance, that the universe is abundant. There is enough love, enough happiness, enough resources to go around. If we give freely, give without fear. And you would be surprised how much of opportunities and collaborations that life opens up for you. You will be surprised how much growth happens for you personally when you give freely. That is the beauty of life. You cannot give without receiving. So think abundant. That's my point number 2. And the third idea, here at least, is the idea of seeing life from the other person's perspective. When you look at situations, we go through so many filters in our minds. There is so much information that bombards us every day. And the information that comes to us, we screen it through so many different levels of interpretations and judgments and fears and our own gremlins, as we call them, the I am not good enough emotions. We go through so many of those layers, and ultimately, we see life from this very narrow perspective. And what I'm inviting here to do is step beyond that. Think bigger than that. Think from the other person's challenges. What would life be like if you were in their shoes? What would you do? And this is not to say that you should justify what they are doing or get caught up in their actions or dissecting their emotions, or it's the complete opposite. It is just giving people the benefit of doubt, saying, what if I were in their shoes? What would life be? And that will help you react in a completely different way than if you were seeing life from your own perspective. And this is the point that I was emphasizing on. Compassion, you can be compassionate, you can be kind to people. And all of us are, we are naturally kind. That is how we are built. That is how our species has survived, and that is what will make our species survive. That we can be kind to others, for ourselves and the people around us. But it has to be a way of thinking if you need to access it at any given time. It is a reflex, right? So there's a couple of points, and again, this is something that I would challenge you on to do, is when you have the time, when you are pressed with issues, when you feel like you are a victim of situations, pause for a second and ask, what am I grateful for? You will be surprised at how many things you have that you cannot afford to lose. Your health, your friends, your family, relationships, even your sanity, that you're actually sitting there and thinking about all that you have and that you do not have. There is so much in life to be grateful for. Practice gratefulness. And out of the abundance that you have given for you, that you have been given, give freely. And if everything else fails, practice the platinum rule. The golden rule, as you're probably all familiar with, is treat others as you would like to be treated. The platinum rule is a small shift from there, and I don't remember who came up with it, but the idea is what is good enough for you is probably not good enough for somebody else. So do unto others what they would like to be, in a way that they would like to be treated, right? Be sensitive to what is important for them, respect that sensitivity, and whenever possible, and it's not always possible, people may have different intentions and opinions, and you really cannot live someone else's life. That is where the idea of self-compassion comes in, because you need to take care of yourself first. But whenever possible, treat people in the way that they want to be treated. And especially if you are a leader. And I'm saying this because I believe that all of us are leaders. A leader is simply somebody who has a sphere of influence, and we are all influencing people in some way or the other. And as leaders of our own lives and as leaders of people around us, when we see life from other people's perspectives, when we are able to give abundantly, when we are able to see oneness and we are able to be mindful in everything that we do, life becomes that much better for us and the world around us. So, a little exercise. I was emphasizing on the importance of gratitude. If possible, make a commitment to think about all the things that you are grateful for. Keep a gratitude journal. Every day, write down at least 3 things that you are grateful for that happened on that particular day. Make that a habit of your, sleep habit, just before you go to sleep. 5 minutes. Track down what are the things you're grateful for. You'll be surprised, in a month, your perspective shift would simply be amazing. So that's basically what I wanted to share. I have more information